How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well. Now, I'm going to be covering the forecast for this week, the second week of February. Now, this forecast has been recorded after the news release we have all seen. Now, as many of you may know, there was a news release that caused this impulsive move down. So, I'm going to be basically covering and explain to you guys what I will be looking for in the markets for this week. Now, initially in the morning, right, before I basically started my day, I had this zone marked up. So I think it was on the 15 minutes. So I marked the last 15-minute buy candle up there. Now, the reason why price didn't come up, not really much of imbalance, a lot of efficient price, but that's okay because I wasn't looking to take a trade at this around this timing. Now, price mitigated this candle here because that was the most clear last candle which had imbalance left, and that was before this demand zone failed. So that was the mitigation that you could have possibly taken a trade from. But in this case, what I'm going to be looking for is a continuation short trade down. Now, if we look on the 4-hour, we can basically see that this was the decisional point. So this was the decisional where we broke this supply zone, and then we had an initial mitigation here, which then pushed price up, right? So if we're looking for basically expecting a reaction, we might see a reaction somewhere in this area here, might be the 50% mark. So I'm gonna be on the lookout over there. But so far, if we look on the overall chart, right, we can clearly see that we are not really bullish because we've reacted to this supply zone here, right over here, and we've pushed down, right? So that was our reaction that basically caused the push down. So in this case, I'm going to be looking for continuation shorts down. Now, if we sort of take a look at this point, right, this was the extreme, right? We had this move here. Now price only closed over here, so this candle push up was a mitigation of this here, right, which is basically the cause of the break of this demand zone. But we also have this extreme point which was basically broken in this news release. So in a sense, I'm gonna be looking for a continuation short in this region over here. If we go to the 15 minutes, I'm gonna be basically covering this whole region. If you drop to the 10, you can see that this candle is quite clear, but we also have this wick, so we want to be mindful of that. And if you look at the wick, that's basically the last buy candle over there. So I'm going to be marking this complete zone here. We want to see a reaction from price here. And what we can also see is this was a high created, right, barely created here. So we had one demand zone fail, we had two demand zones basically failing. And the cause for those two demand zones failing, it was this last two buy candles. So we want to look for continuation shorts here. And usually what I do with my charts, if you don't already notice, is I set these zones up, right, mark it up on my chart, and I set my alerts, right? And I don't take trades until that alert is basically triggered. So I set all my alerts and just wait for price to do its thing, and once it pops into my zone, right, then I take my short down. So nothing to really stare at the chart for, because I'm just going to be waiting for that zone to be mitigated. Now moving on to euro dollar, we have this zone that I've marked up, right? So initially we had this impulsive move up, so we did clearly expect this impulsive move to be filled because of all the imbalance left behind. Now we also had this candle here, which is basically the start of that impulsive move up, so we might see some form of reaction here. However, we also have the extreme of this point, which is over here. So if price does react off of here and give me a reaction, then I might look to take a trade. However, if we look on the higher time frame, we have basically been continuing bearish all the way, and this high here failed to break this high. So it is sort of a weak high because it didn't really break this. So we could expect price to sort of sweep that, but at the same time, because of the market structure we are seeing now, we could sort of expect price to essentially still break through this zone. However, if we do see a valid reaction here, I'm willing to take that trade and take a long up. So with euro dollar, I'm going to be waiting for price to tap into this zone deep, because this is a minor tap. I'm not going to look for a trade here because I'm not satisfied with the way it tapped in. If I miss the trade, am I going to be annoyed? Not really, because my rules basically state that I want to see a deeper tap in. So euro dollar, basically that. I had this supply zone marked up, so I'm going to be wary if I take a long here to set my TP here. And if we do get a reaction from this, I'm going to take a continuation, basically take a short down. And I'm going to keep this long running. So basically I'm going to hedge my trade by having a long and a short. Long here and a short here. Now that saves my entry essentially. So basically it covers my ass, because if price does break through this short, then at least I have my long running here, so I cover the losses here. However, if it does respect this short and impulsively push down, I still have this short, so this long is basically covered as well. So that's basically what I'm looking for on euro dollar. If we look at GBPUSD, now GBPUSD, because of how the price is, you have to sort of drop down time frames a bit. And what I did was I marked up the wick of this 10-minute candle here. So if you look at this wick, you might be wondering, what's in there. Now, if you don't understand why I've marked this wick, so I would suggest you guys watch the refining order blocks or refining zones video that has been added to the course. That's where I cover what is happening and how do I mark these points up. So if you look on the 3 minute, 3 minute, you don't see much. If you look on the 1 minute, it's basically the last, and I mean last, sell candle. So I've just refined it to that. I'm not taking a trade off of that because we broke through it. So if you look on the 3 minutes, right, you can see that this point I've marked is the last buy candles. So the last demand zone that is basically caused the break of this demand zone here. So that's basically, the last supply zone, pardon me. So that's the last supply zone. It's basically a supply range in a sense, if you call it, because this is basically a range, and this was the last buy candles before the push down. So with GU, I'm going to be looking for potential shorts here. Now, I'm not going to be taking, trades that correlate with each other. So if I'm taking a GU short, I'm not going to be taking an EU long, because that just contradicts everything. So with GU, I'm going to be looking for this short here. If not, there is nothing really clear on GU. We have some form of reaction here. It might be something in this time frame, but I'm not going to drop down just to see what that reaction is, because I am looking for a short down. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, we essentially seem to be doing this, right? We might be either going through some bullish price action over here. So we might be basically creating higher highs and higher lows. This might be, the continuation up to create a higher high, or it might just break all the way down. Now we have this wick mitigation here, which was this supply zone. So I'm pretty convinced that we might continue down, because if the supply zone was not respected, this candle here would have created a higher high, right? But we did not create a higher high, which tells me that, okay, we still pretty much have quite a bit of bearish momentum in the market. So I'm going to flow with the market and not against it. So that's for GU. Euro GBP, really nothing much. I mean, the price action is horrendous. However, I do have this zone marked up here where I might look for longs up. Now, Euro GBP is a tricky pair to trade, because if you just look at the price action, it is absolutely horrendous. But every now and then, you get some nice mitigations where you can take longs up from. So Euro GBP, really nothing much. CAD Yen, pretty similar to the other trades, or pretty similar to GU really. We broke through this demand zone, so going to be looking for a reaction off of this decisional order block, or we could look for the extreme, which might be this point here, or really this other candle over here, because this was the cause, this whole range here was the cause for the break of this demand zone over here. So that's really CAD Yen. Nothing much with CAD Yen, so I'm gonna just be waiting for my alerts to be triggered. Now, USD Yen, again, with price action now, we are fairly bullish, right? We have some bullish price action kicking in. However, we did sort of break structure and created a lower low. So I'm gonna be potentially looking for a short here, mainly because with how price is set here, we've got liquidity resting on both sides. So this is a full liquidity pool here that, we might expect price to range, mitigate, push down, or even take us out here and then push down. right? So that's something to sort of look for on UJ. Now, the last pair would be NZD/USD. I have two alerts set here. If we look on the 1 hour time frame, right, we had this demand zone that failed in the 15-minute. You can see this was the extreme point of this demand zone failing. So I'm going to be looking for maybe a short here, or what we can also look for is a short from this region over here, right? Why would we look for a short in that region? Because we essentially do have a demand zone failing here. So if you mark that whole sort of demand range, we have that demand zone failing. So we can expect for price to change. And what we also have is we have chalk, we have liquidity grabbed here. So we have quite a lot of things that favor us for this entry here. So I'm going to be looking for entries over here. And if this zone fails, then we can look for entries here. So essentially with NZD/USD, we can look for shorts as well. So far on all the pairs, most of them are offering shorts. Not a lot of longs being offered in these markets so far. So for this week, I can say that pretty much most pairs I'm pretty bearish. I'm going to be looking for quite a lot of short trades. So yeah, that's all for this week's forecast. I have specifically decided to do a forecast in the midday of Mondays for me, because then you usually have a better idea of what to expect. Because if I do it in the pre-market, right, if I do it on Sunday, then you don't really see what's going on in the market or what has already happened. So if you guys sort of like getting forecasts around these timings where the market's already moved a bit, let me know in the group, and I will probably look at what suggestions you guys have and see what works out best. So that'll be all for this week's forecast, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me.